Dear participants, the webinar will begin at 2 p.m. Before we begin, we have some instructions to the participants. Kindly mute your audios and take note not to interrupt the session.
Launch out into the deep. Little Flower College, Guruvayoor is a Catholic minority college of the Syro-Malabar Rite, established in the year 1955. It is run by the Franciscan Clarist Congregation, Assisi Province, Thrissur, which comes under the Metropolitan Archieparchy of Thrissur. The college was envisaged to meet the dire needs of educational portals, primarily for women.
In view of the ample scope and immediate necessity for a women's college in South Malabar, Little Flower College was initiated at Guruvayoor on the 1st of July 1955. The college began functioning as a second-grade college and was elevated to the first-grade status with the inception of the BSc Mathematics and the BA Economics courses.
The college was initiated under the Madras University in 1955, bifurcated to Kerala University in 1957, and from 1967 onwards, it is affiliated to the University of Calicut. We have an excellent academic track record, though the input is largely from the socio-economic backward community.
The institution dwells in gratitude to the Almighty for adorning her with the diamond-studded crown of an A grade in the NAC accreditation with a CGPA of 3.52 in the year 2015. In 2016, the college was raised to the status of Center with Potential for Excellence. We are also one among the few arts and science colleges to be selected for the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan project in the year 2018. The college is also part of the various MHRD initiatives like the Study in India program. Apart from this, we take active part in the state government projects like ASAP, SSP, WWS, etc. The year 2019 saw the college being granted the mentor status under the Paramarsh scheme of the MHRD.
The demographic profile of the college comprises of diverse indigenous ethnography from various strata of the society, imparting inclusive and equitable higher education to the locality. At present, we provide 25 courses under PG, UG and BVOC programs. We also have more than 20 varied self-designed certificate courses. We reach out to the diverse section of our community through the community college. The institution strives to enhance the potential of the learners through various activities executed through the numerous clubs, cells, units and associations.
Little Flower College has been a shining beacon of hope to innumerable families whose young girls were given the privilege of world-class education at their doorsteps.
We proudly move with great pride and effervescence and aspire to continue our tradition of valuing social, moral, ethical and spiritual concerns.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Little Flower College. I am Shilpa Anand, the IQAC coordinator here. National Education Policy 2020 has been a matter of much discussion and debate since it has been approved by the Union Cabinet in July 2020. The policy has brought about crucial and foundational changes in the education system as a whole. Of course, there has been a legion of webinars and discussion platforms on the subject, and this itself guarantees for the significance of knowing and discussing the nuances of a policy that has the potential to make drastic transformations in the education system. Little Flower College has decided to play our own part in furthering the knowledge dissemination on the subject on the education policy through this webinar. And for this, we have roped in one of the most acclaimed and erudite speakers in the state today. Dr. Rubal Raj is a former principal of Marian College, Kuttikanam, and is presently serving as a manager of the Good Shepherd Public School and Junior College, Changanasheri. He is basically a professor of English and has worked in reputed institutions like St. Thomas College, Korincheri, St. Birchman's College, Changanasheri, and Marian College, Kuttikanam. He has held a number of positions of significance, and a few of them are: he has been member of the Committee for Autonomy and Affiliation of Kerala State Higher Education Council. He has been the Executive Committee member of the Kerala Principals Council and has also been the President, Saviour Board of Higher Education, Southern Region. He has won the Catholic Award for the Best College Teacher in the Mahatma Gandhi University, Matthews Award for the Best Innovative Teacher, Air India Malayalam Manorama Adhyapaka Pratibha Puraskaram, Sarga Kshetra Excellence Award, and several others. Beyond all these, Rubal Raj sir is an excellent individual, unparalleled orator, and an epitome of positivity, charisma, and spiritual strength. With great pride and honor, I welcome you, dear sir. Now, let me speak about Dr. Sister Jisma Therese, the principal of Little Flower College. Very rarely do we see people with such patience and perseverance. She took up the reins of the college in these troubled times, and she took to it with surprising ease and calm. She has never hesitated in moving on with any kind of ideas that we come up with, however difficult they may be. And this webinar is, of course, the result of her undoubting spirit. I welcome you, dear sister. About the participants, we have had registrations from principals, faculty from various states in India, ranging from Assam to West Bengal to Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Let me welcome all the respected participants to this meet. We also have a number of research scholars and students too here. I extend a very hearty welcome to all the young and sprightly participants. I also welcome my fellow faculty members of Little Flower College for being here in support. The webinar will be moderated by Ms. Andruba Jacob, member IQAC team. I invite Andruba to take charge. Let's have a great session. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all. Once again, welcome to our webinar, National Educational Policy 2020, Implications, Opportunities, and Challenges for the Higher Education Sector. At the very outset, I would like to welcome our beacon, our strength, Reverend Sister Dr. Jisma Therese, to address the meet. Sister, please.
Good afternoon to one and all. Warm greetings to all. Today, our IQAC team is conducting a webinar on New Education Policy 2020. Our chief guest, Dr. Rubal Raj, is an apt resource person for today's session. His energetic and informative talk will energize all of us to evaluate and make a critical thinking about NEP 2020. Hearty welcome to you, sir. I wish a grand success for this program. First of all, I congratulate our IQAC team under the able guidance of Ms. Shilpa Anand for making the initiative to conduct this webinar. NEP 2020 is a relevant topic today for wide discussion. We should understand the provisions of this, along with its positives and limitations. May this webinar be a good experience and more informative to all. With great joy, I inaugurate this session. Stay home, stay safe. Thanks to all.
Thank you, sister. Now, before we begin, we have some instructions for the participants. Kindly mute your audios and please do not interrupt the session. Your queries should be posted in the chat box, which will be answered at the end of the session. Now it's time for the Sinosha of the day. I request Dr. Rubilraj, resource person of the day, to begin the session. Welcome, sir.
Respected principal, coordinator of the IQAC, Mrs. Shilpa Anand, teachers of Little Flower College, participants, students and dear friends. At the very outset, let me express my sincere gratitude to the college authorities and especially Mrs. Shilpa for inviting me to head this webinar on National Education Policy 2020. When I look back, I have to say something about the IQAC coordinator. I can simply measure the effort that she has taken in organizing a program like this. She was literally after me, calling me invariably every day and reminding me and telling me the formalities and expectations, so on and so forth. I'm sure that teachers like Shilpa will be an asset to any institution. So my special thanks and appreciation to Mrs. Shilpa. Today, I am asked to present the new education policy. I'm sure some of you might have read it. Some of you might have gone through it. Others may be listening to such a presentation for the first time, but no problem. But when I am participating in a seminar like this, my memory takes me back to my days in college, especially when I was preparing for my NAC accreditation. That was in 2014. I was a regular visitor to IQAC meetings, every day having lot of discussions. And at the end, I'm very happy to say that in 2014, we got a grade of 3.52, which is your grade in 2015. So I'm very happy to hear that, and we got it. So I know the role played by IQAC in NAC accreditation process. I appreciate that too. Let us enter into our webinar. It goes without saying that this is the first education policy in the 21st century. And this policy is coming to us after a long gap of 34 years. The previous policy came out in 1986. And this policy has been prepared by a committee chaired by Padma Padma Vibhushan, Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan, former chairman of ISRO, and a team of 9 members. Kasturi Rangan, as you may know, he was he is a Keralite basically, born in Kerala, but then worked elsewhere. And then he is connected with our Western gods, that Gadgil issue and all that. So he was the chairman of this committee. The committee was appointed in June 2017 and it submitted its draft proposals in 2019. And after long discussions and deliberations, when I say long discussions and deliberations, we must keep in mind the COVID situation. So the committee called for opinions from all over India. And as the HRD minister said later, they got around 2 lakh plus suggestions. And then the final report came in July 2020, and that was approved by the Union Cabinet. I told you about the draft. The draft was in 480 pages, a big one, 80 pages. But then the final policy is only in 64 pages. From 480 pages, it has come down to 64 pages. When we go through the National Education Policy 2020, we will see that it has 4 parts, and higher education comes in part 2. That is my introduction to my presentation. And what is my strategy, or I should be very clear about my strategy before I proceed. The strategy is that I will be presenting the policy regarding higher education as such in detail. And I am reserving my concerns to the end part, to the concluding part. That means I will present the policy as such. I won't be making any comments regarding that. I will be presenting it as such, and I am reserving my concerns for the concluding part of it. So part 2, as I told you, higher education comes under part 2. And this part begins with a very meaningful as well as futuristic premise. It tells us about the role played by higher education, the extremely important role played by higher education, the life of human beings, as well as in the well-being of society. So when we look at the premise, it becomes very clear that education is not looked at in a very narrow sense of the term. It is essential for the well-being of human beings, as well as it is essential for the well-being of society. So both the aspects have been looked into. It also says that higher education plays an important role in developing India as given in our constitution. And what is there? The India that we must develop must be a democratic, just, socially conscious, cultured, and humane nation, upholding liberty, equality, fraternity, and justice for all. All these are given in the introductory part. And this education or this policy, that is the National Education Policy 2020, it is meant for education of the 21st century. And through this education, we must be able to develop good, thoughtful, and well-rounded and creative individuals. So it's all given in the introduction. So here, it is clearly stated that education must aim to develop good, thoughtful, well-rounded, and creative individuals. And the committee hopes that this policy will be sufficient for that. The committee also hopes that the student shall have deep knowledge in one or more specialized areas of interest. As teachers, maybe there are a lot of teachers listening to me. As teachers, we know that there is no depth for the knowledge of our children. They have knowledge, but there is no depth. It's a very shallow knowledge. But through this policy, or this policy is aiming at having deep knowledge for the students in one or more specialized areas of interest. The other day, I was listening to a student, and that student has taken admission in a college for a particular course. And I was having a dialogue with the student. And I asked that student, nowadays everything is going online. I asked that student, what did the teacher teach you today? She told me, she taught me about Socrates. I asked her once again, what is that? Socrates. Socrates. And who is Socrates? I don't know. He is a thinker, philosopher. I told that student, I don't know such a philosopher. Then I told that student to give me the spelling. Then the student gave me the spelling, Socrates. My God, Socrates. See, a student who has joined for degree first year hasn't even heard about the great philosopher Socrates. So it is very evident that you might have more convincing examples. They have very shallow knowledge, but they should have deep knowledge in one or more specialized areas of interest. And along with education, there must be development of character, ethical and constitutional values, intellectual curiosity, scientific temper, creativity, spirit of service, etc. So it is through all this that the policy is aiming to develop a student into an all-rounded personality, a rounded personality. At the societal level, higher education must develop a skilled nation that can find and implement robust solutions to its own problems. Let us look around what is going on around. Everywhere there is COVID. In order to alleviate this, I don't know whether we will be able to alleviate this, or in order to counter this, what is the contribution of higher education institutions? Nothing. Sorry to say that, nothing. What is it that the higher education institutions did during the COVID times? They simply closed it, nothing else. No research, no activity, no thinking has taken place in almost all the higher education institutions. But then this policy is aiming something else. The higher education institutions must develop our country into a skilled nation that can find solutions to our own problems, including COVID and pandemics, so on and so forth. And coming to the vision of the policy, it envisages key changes to the current system. And what are the changes they are planning? The most important one is moving towards large multidisciplinary universities and colleges with at least one in or near every district. So the thrust is on large multidisciplinary universities as well as colleges with at least one in every district. Then it talks about moving towards more multidisciplinary undergraduate education, moving towards faculty autonomy and institutional autonomy, revamping curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment. We will see the details later. Merit-based institutional leadership and career progression based on teaching, research, and service. Establishment of National Research Foundation, NRF, to fund outstanding research. Governance of higher education institutions through high qualified independent boards. Light but tight regulation by a single regulator. Increased access, equity, and inclusion through a wide range of measures. These are all given in the vision of the NEP. Let us go into details. What does it mean by institutional restructuring and consolidation? Moving to large multidisciplinary universities, colleges, higher education institutions, clusters, knowledge hub, each with 300 or more students, is the highest recommendation of this policy regarding the structure of higher education. We have heard a lot about thinking big, and now the policy is talking about doing big. Small colleges and small universities, they must branch out into multidisciplinary universities, multidisciplinary colleges, multidisciplinary higher education institutions, clusters, knowledge hub, and each should have more than 3,000 students. And that is the first step it is suggesting towards institutional restructuring. Let us see the constituents of a higher education institution, whether it be university or college. A university means a multidisciplinary institution of higher learning that offers undergraduate and postgraduate programs. So university will be offering undergraduate and both undergraduate and graduate programs with high quality teaching. So the word quality has been reiterated throughout this policy. Every time when it is talking about or referring to teaching, they always say it is quality teaching, high quality teaching, but then it doesn't stop there. Then it goes to research and community engagement. Normally, what is happening at present? Education is confined to teaching, at the most to research. But then community is conveniently avoided. But here, a university must conduct programs with high quality teaching, high quality research, and then they must also strive for community development, community upliftment. Then, what are the types of universities? One is research intensive universities. Research intensive universities where there is equal emphasis on teaching and research. Equal emphasis. Then comes teaching intensive universities. There, the emphasis, greater emphasis is on teaching. In the first category, there is equal emphasis on teaching as well as research. The second category, the emphasis is on teaching. Then comes autonomous degree granting colleges, which grants UG degrees. A stage-wise mechanism for granting graded autonomy to colleges through a transparent system of graded accreditation will be established. That means all educational institutions will become autonomous colleges and they will have to go for the graded accreditation system. Over a period of time, every college will develop into either an autonomous degree granting college. There are two options. Over a period of time, every college would become either an autonomous degree granting college or a constituent college of a university, which is fully a part of it. Either they can stand alone as a degree granting autonomous college, or they can be a part of a university. With appropriate accreditations, autonomous degree granting colleges would evolve into research intensive or teaching intensive universities if they aspire so. Don't think that by becoming an autonomous degree granting college, that is the end of their growth. That is the terminal of their growth. No. If they aspire so, they can grow into research intensive or teaching intensive universities. Higher education institutions have other crucial responsibilities too, in addition to teaching and research. This is a very novel and beautiful idea. Now, as I told you, higher education institutions are at present confined to teaching or research. They are looking into teaching aspects and research aspects. But now they are opening up some more areas for the involvement of higher education institutions. For example, support and develop other higher education institutions. It's like a buddy institution. You may be an institution of quality. You may be an institution of repute, but then you have the responsibility to support and develop nearby higher education institutions. But then it doesn't stop there. You must also work for faculty development, not only your faculty development, but faculty development of institutions around. The most interesting part of it is that extension to school education. So far, I don't think that any education commission has come out with this kind of an idea. So from higher education, it has to go to school general education too. It must support school education. I am dreaming those days where the higher education institutions and the schools coming together for joint efforts. I hope that will happen because of this policy. And all higher education institutions shall become multidisciplinary by 2030. And by 2040, all higher education institutions shall aim to become multidisciplinary institutions with thousands of student enrollment. So I told you, it's all thinking big, doing big. They must become big institutions having thousands of student enrollment. More high quality higher education institutions in public and private sectors shall be started. So the policy is promoting higher education institutions, not only in the public sector, but also in the private sector. The aim is that when more education institutions come, both in public and private sectors, the GER, that is gross enrollment ratio, which is 26.3 presently, it will go to 50% by 2035. So in order to increase GER from the present 26.3 to 50, more private and public higher education institutions shall be started by 2035. Then all institutions will have the facility to run quality. There also the quality is there, open distance learning or online programs, which we are doing now. All single stream higher education institutions will be phased out over time, and all will move towards multidisciplinary institutions or parts of multidisciplinary higher education institutions or clusters. For example, we have B.Ed colleges. That is a single stream higher education institution. Such single stream higher education institutions will be phased out over a period of time, and they will become part of other multidisciplinary higher education institutions. Through the attainment of suitable accreditations, all higher education institutions will gradually move towards full autonomy. But then you will be granted full autonomy once you go through the accreditation process. And when the policy says full autonomy, it means both academic as well as administrative autonomy. And private institutions with a public spirited commitment to high quality, equitable education will be encouraged. That means there will be encouragement for private institutions, but their stress must be on quality education. The system of affiliated colleges will be phased out over a period of 15 years. And this may be a concern for Little Flower College Guruvayoor and the teachers there. But then most of you may, I don't know, most of you may retire within 15 years, I don't know. But then this system will be phased out in the next 15 years through a system of graded autonomy. So all affiliated colleges will become autonomous colleges. And all affiliated colleges shall attain required accreditation benchmarks over time and eventually become autonomous degree granting colleges. So an affiliated college cannot remain as an affiliated college. It has to have certain qualifications and qualities required for accreditation, and eventually it will grow into autonomous degree granting colleges. The overall higher education sector will aim to be an integrated higher education system, including professional and vocational education. These two will go together. The present complex nomenclature of higher education institutions such as deemed to be university, affiliating technical university, unitary university, all will be replaced by the term university. For example, nowadays many students at present, as given in the welcome speech, I'm working in a school as a manager. So many parents call me or they come and meet me asking, sir, what is the difference between deemed to be university, autonomous college, ordinary college, and all such differentiations are coming to a close. Deemed to be university, affiliating technical university, unitary university, all will be replaced simply by the term university. They will all be known by the term university. We are going into another area towards a more holistic and multidisciplinary education. I've told you this multidisciplinary education is the area which this policy gives great importance. Let us see what it is. The notion of knowledge of many arts or liberal arts must be brought back to Indian education as it is the requirement of the 21st century education and lead India into the fourth industrial revolution. So we had that practice right from the Gurukula system. We had that practice. Students will stay with the master and learn a lot of things, not simply the subject alone. They might learn philosophy. They might learn something else. They might learn, martial arts, so on and so forth. So that thinking is slowly brought back to the present system of education. A holistic and multidisciplinary education would aim to develop all capacities of human beings. So this holistic education or multidisciplinary education aims at developing all the capacities of human beings like intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional, and moral in an integrated manner. Not simply saying, okay, it has to develop, but in a very integrated, systemized manner, there will be efforts for developing all these areas. But a holistic education shall be, in the long term, the approach of all UG programs. So all UG programs, including professional, technical, and vocational disciplines, they will strive for multidisciplinary education. Imaginative and flexible curricular structures will enable creative combinations of disciplines of study and would offer multiple entry and exit points. So there will be combinations of disciplines, the creative contributions. Two subjects can be brought together. Yesterday, I was talking to the rank holders of key entrance as well as rank holders of JE Advanced of my school. And we were felicitating them. And I'm sure these boys will get into some of the reputed IITs of the country. And I've told them, okay, it's good that you have become rank holders. It's good that you've got very good ranks and all that. But then what will happen to you? I seriously doubt that you will study something, you will enter into a company and you will work there, and that is the end of it. You will be getting good salary. But I told them very openly that you must try to integrate technology with bioscience. There may be another guy who has got a rank, maybe in the medical field, in the NEET examination. Is very good in medical studies. This guy is very good in technical studies. Now, what is happening? The bright students in technical studies are remaining in one platform, and the bright students in medical studies are remaining in other platforms. There is no integration. I seriously think that if there was an integration like this, we could have brought out medicine for COVID long time back. And so there shall be creative combinations of disciplines and study, and there will be multiple entry and exit options. That's a new idea. That is multiple entry and exit of points. And pedagogy will have increased emphasis on communication, discussion, debate, research, and opportunities for cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary thinking. And now what is happening? Now our education that is happening in our classrooms, the emphasis is only on textbooks. The emphasis is mainly on examination. The emphasis is mainly on getting more marks. The emphasis on simply memory power. But the policy is telling there will be increased emphasis on communication, discussion, debate, research, and opportunities for cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary thinking. As part of multidisciplinary education, all higher education institutions shall include credit-based courses and projects in the areas of community engagement and service, environmental education, value-based education, including constitutional values. So our students must concentrate on, they must study all these aspects too. There must be community engagement. There must be attempts for environmental education, value education, and including constitutional values. Service and participation in community service programs will be an integral part of holistic education. So we have our national service scheme in all colleges. A college having maybe 2,000 plus students. How many will be in national service? Maybe 70 students, 75 students. Maybe 70 will be in NCC. And what happens to the rest? They are least concerned about such things. So I've been advocating this for quite a long time, that all students joining for a degree program, they must go for compulsory community service for minimum 15 days during their course. If it is a 3-year program, during the 3-year program, he or she has to do community service program minimum 15 days. And this has become part of the policy. Service and participation in community service programs will be an integral part of holistic education. This is very interesting. Global citizenship education. What is happening in the world? What are the issues that the world is facing today? Our children must come to know about it. So there will be attempts for bringing those aspects into education. All students at all higher education institutions will be provided opportunities for internship with local industry, business, artists, craftspersons, and research internships. For example, suppose somebody is interested in becoming an entrepreneur. Let him do internship with an industry. Suppose somebody wants to do some business in future. Let him work in a business concern. Somebody wants to be an artist in future. Let him work with an artist for some time. Somebody wants to do some craft work. Let that person be with an artist for some time or a craft person for some time. Somebody wants to do research. His main concern is doing research. Let him do research in research establishments. So this is made the part of higher education. It's very interesting. UG degree will be of either 3 or 4 year duration with multiple exit options, multi-exit options. So this may be applicable to your college. UG degree will be of either 3 or 4 years with multiple exit options. For example, suppose a student has joined a college for a UG degree program and he is completing only 1 year and he is exiting. He will get a certificate. Suppose he is exiting after 2 years, he will get a diploma. Suppose he is exiting after 3 years, he will get a bachelor's degree. Suppose he is doing 4 years, he will get the consent degree. In the 4 year course, the focus will be on the chosen major and minors as per the choice of the students. So they have to study major subjects as well as minor subjects. But everything can be studied, everything can be chosen according to the choice or the interest of the students. A new scheme, a new policy, a new idea is brought in. Academic Bank of Credit (ABC) shall be established, which would digitally store the academic credits earned from various higher education institutions, just like depositing money in one particular bank, and then you can take it out. Like that, the credit that you earn from doing a particular course, that will be stored and that can be retained later. I told you about the 4 year multidisciplinary program. The 4 year program may also lead to a degree with research. Hmm? To a degree with research, the student completes a rigorous research project in their major areas of study. So while they are doing a 4 year program, multidisciplinary 4 year program, they can do a degree with research. But then they will have to do, or he or she will have to do a rigorous research project. Higher education institutions will offer different designs of master's program. Let us see what it is. 2 year program. Now we are having master's degree. It's a 2 year program. 2 year program with the second year devoted entirely for research. So PG will be of 2 years, 1 year study and second year research. For those who have completed 3 years of bachelor degree program, this is for them. Then 1 year program for those who have completed 4 years of bachelor's degree program. Suppose you have completed 4 years of bachelor program, your postgraduate course will be of 1 year. And then, as usual, there is 5 years of integrated bachelor's and master's program too. Undertaking a PhD shall require either a master's degree or 4 year bachelor's degree with research. Either you should have a master's degree. Suppose you want to do PhD, either you must possess a master's degree or 4 year bachelor's degree with research. Research means one rigorous research. And then that is the sad fate of MPhil program. MPhil program shall be discontinued. Coming to model public university, the new concept, MERU. MERU means multidisciplinary education and research universities. MERU, multidisciplinary education and research universities will be set up with the highest global standards in quality education. See, we will start model universities in the country, which will stand at the height of global universities. Higher education institutions will set up startup incubation centers, technology development centers, etc. These are all suggestions, startup incubation centers and technology development centers. We'll go to another area, optimal learning environment and support for students. Curriculum, pedagogy, continuous assessment, and student support are cornerstones of quality learning. I've told you right from the very beginning, this policy is speaking about or highlighting quality education as such quality learning. And what are the constituents? Curriculum, pedagogy, continuous assessment, student support are the cornerstones or pillars of quality learning. And curriculum and pedagogy will be designed by institutions and faculty. When we have autonomous status, they can do that. They will be designed by the institutions and the faculty. All assessment systems shall be decided by higher education institutions including final certification. So they will deal with that. All assessment systems shall be decided by higher education institutions, including the final certification. The present system of choice-based credit system, we have an idea about that, and that shall be revised. How it is revised, that we need to wait and see. Higher education institutions shall move away from high-stakes examination towards more continuous and comprehensive evaluation. And now, the major concern of higher education institutions is conducting the exam and then announcing the results. Now there is a shift. There will be a shift from high stake examination to continuous and comprehensive evaluation. It will be an ongoing process throughout the course. And all higher education institutions will fund topic-centered clubs and activities. So there will be a number of clubs and activities in all colleges with governmental funding. Universities and colleges will set up high-quality support centers for the benefit of students from socio-economically disadvantaged backgrounds. So their interests must be looked into. They must be supported. These people must be supported. Coming to another interesting area, it is internationalization. International students will be attracted to India, and Indian students will have the mobility to study abroad through credit transfer. At present, we don't have credit transfer system in the country. Maybe in some institutions they have, but in the majority, they don't have it. So students from abroad will be attracted to India, and Indian students they can go abroad and study there, and we'll have the system of credit transfer. Whatever credit they gain there can be brought down here, or credit here can be taken that place. India will be promoted as a global study destination, providing premium education at affordable cost. So in the 21st century, the plan of the government is that India must be promoted as a global study destination where students will get premium education at affordable cost, thereby helping to restore India's role as Vishwa Guru. High-performing Indian universities will be encouraged to set up campus in other countries. Don't think that all universities can go abroad and start their centers there, but high-performing Indian universities can go abroad and start their campuses there. Like that, in the same way, selected foreign universities, there is a ranking system for universities, and the top 10, the universities coming under the top 10 category, they will be permitted to operate their campus in India. Research collaboration and student exchanges between Indian and global institutions will be promoted through special efforts. It's interesting. Research collaboration and student exchange programs will be promoted. And coming to student activity, in order to attract more students to the learning process, campus life will be made live through clubs, counseling, hostel, medical facilities, etc. Life will be brought back to campuses through various clubs, counseling facilities, hostel facility, medical facility, etc. And coming to the financial support, financial assistance to meritorious students belonging to SC, ST, OBC, and socially economically disadvantaged groups will be available. National scholarship portal will be expanded. Private higher education institutions will be encouraged to offer larger number of free ships and scholarships. That means a boy or a girl or a student who is willing to study, but saying that he or she has no money, and now that agony is coming to an end. There will be scholarship because National Scholarship Portal is going to be expanded, and private higher education institutions, they will be asked to give more free ships as well as scholarships. Another area is faculty development. All higher education institutions will be equipped with the basic infrastructure. All colleges, institutions must have basic infrastructure, and every classroom shall have the access to latest education technology. Nowadays, some colleges or schools are promoting themselves like this. All our classrooms are smart classrooms. And hereafter, no need to say like that because all the classrooms will be like that. Teaching duties will not be excessive. Teaching duties, there will be a lot of work connected with teaching, but it will not be excessive. And teacher-student ratio will also be not high. There is a problem regarding transfer of teachers from one university to another, one college to another, that will be normally not promoted. Faculty will be given the freedom to design their own curricular and pedagogical approaches. We will have the autonomy for that. Excellence will be incentivized through appropriate rewards, promotions, recognition. At present, you look at the fate of college teachers. School teachers, they are honored by the nation. On September 5th, teacher awards are given, but only to school teachers. What about college teachers? There is no award for them. There is no reward for them. They are given salary, that's a different thing. But then excellence will be incentivized through appropriate awards, promotion, recognition, etc. This is interesting. Faculty not delivering on basic norms will be held accountable. Suppose somebody joins a college and then he is not producing a result. He is of no use. He or she will be held accountable. And the faculty recruitment process shall be very transparent. And tenure tracking system, that is the probation period, that will be compulsorily be there. A system of multiple parameters for proper performance assessment shall be developed. That means every person entering an higher education institution will be assessed on his performance. Coming to another area, equity and inclusion. This policy envisions ensuring equitable access to quality education to all students. All students must get equal access to quality education, and there shall be specific programs for this. And coming to teacher education, teachers must be grounded in Indian values, languages, knowledge, ethos, and traditions. They must be truly Indian teachers, having roots in Indian values. They must be knowing languages, knowledge, and then roots in Indian ethos and Indian traditions. This is something related to B.Ed program. The 4-year integrated B.Ed program will be the minimum qualification for school teachers by 2030. All fresh PhD entrants will be required to take credit-based courses in teaching, education, pedagogy, writing related to their chosen PhD subject during their doctoral training period. And now, school teachers get some kind of training before they become a teacher. Their B.Ed program is designed for that. And what about college teachers? We don't have any such training program. We don't have much knowledge about the teaching, etc. But then all fresh PhD entrants, they will have to do courses in teaching, education, pedagogy, etc., etc. PhD students will also have a minimum number of hours of actual teaching experience through teaching, assistantship, or other means. So now, once you complete your PhD and you become a college lecturer and you start teaching. No, it's not like that. During your research time, you must do teaching assistantship and then gain experience, teaching experience. There will be in-service continuous professional development for college and university teachers. In-service continuous professional development. Once you become a teacher, don't think that at the end of it, there will be continuous development programs. A national mission for mentoring shall be established. Nowadays, we all speak about mentoring. Our students are going through a number of agonies, pains, and trauma. But then what are we doing with regard to that? Maybe in some colleges, they do mentoring, but then I don't think that that is scientific mentoring because nobody has taught us really what it is and how it is to be done. There may be individual initiatives, but no collective initiatives. And so there will be a national mission for mentoring. They will train the teachers in providing mentoring support. Coming to vocational education. Vocational education programs will be integrated into mainstream education in a phased manner. And now it is compartmentalized. Mainstream has nothing to do with vocational education. And now they are going to combine these two, but in a phased manner. By 2025, at least 50% of learners through school and higher education system shall have exposure to vocational education. They will get they learn some aspect of vocational education by 2025. And higher education institutions will offer vocational education either on their own, they can do it on their own, or in partnership with industry or NGO. How it should be done, vocational education, how it should be done, either they can offer on their own or they can do it in partnership with industry and NGO. Bachelor of Vocational degrees introduced in 2013 will continue. We have BVOC programs, but that will continue. But vocational courses will be available to all. Focus areas for vocational education will be chosen based on skill gap analysis and mapping of local opportunities. What are the skills that we need today? What are the skills that our students must possess now? And what are the local opportunities? There will be assessment on that. Based on that, we will decide what type of vocational education shall be given to our children. It's a very interesting suggestion put forth by this NAP, National Research Foundation. What is the goal? To enable a culture of research to permeate through our universities. The National Research Foundation will completely fund research in all disciplines. So it is a major funding agency for research. It will fund research in all disciplines. And existing research funding institutions will continue. The National Research Foundation will be governed independently by the government by a rotating board of governance. How it will be governed. Then let us see transforming the regulatory system of education. It's interesting to note that. The distinct functions, for example, distinct functions of regulation, accreditation, funding, and academic standard. Now, certain areas are looked after by certain agencies, but there is no clear-cut distinction or differentiation. But this policy is coming out with the idea that there will be agencies for looking after regulation part, accreditation part, funding part, and the academic part. And this will be done by independent and empowered bodies. How? This is it. These four structures will be set up as four independent verticals within one umbrella. What is the umbrella? The Higher Education Commission of India. So below the Higher Education Commission of India, there will be four verticals or four agencies. Let us see what it is. Number one, the first vertical, National Higher Education Regulatory Council, NHERC. It will function as the common single point regulator for higher education sector, including teacher education. That is, regulating teacher education as well as higher education. It will regulate in a light but tight and facilitative manner. It is always, when you go through the policy, in several places it is mentioned that it will be light, at the same time it will be tight regulation. Second vertical, that is National Accreditation Council. The task to function as a recognized accreditor shall be awarded to an appropriate number of institutions. They will look into that. They will fix the parameter. And then they will appoint agencies. And those agencies can accredit institutions based on the parameters produced by this National Accreditation Council. The third vertical, that is Higher Education Grants Council, may be equivalent to our UGC, for funding and financing higher education. The fourth vertical, General Education Council, for framing learning outcomes, graduate attributes, etc. We hear about this only when we prepare the NAC report, learning outcomes. For example, a student passing out of Little Flower Guruvayoor, what all she should possess, what all she should learn, what should be the outcome, and what all should be the graduate attributes. Okay, they will decide, the General Education Council will decide. And a national higher education qualification framework will be formulated by BEC. Setting up of new quality higher education institutions will be made easier. Nowadays, it is very tough time for people to start education institutions, but it will be made easier. Public Philanthropic Partnership, PPP model. Public Philanthropic Partnership model for higher education institutions also be piloted. And coming to curbing commercialization, all educational function are not for profit. So nowadays, people are starting education institutions to make money, to make easy money, to make profit, but then no more. Surpluses shall not be taken out of the institution. It must be reinvested in the same sector. There must be transparent public disclosure mechanism in operation. There will be transfer mechanism for fixing fees with an upper limit for different types of institutions depending upon their accreditation. So your fees will depend upon your accreditation level, and there will be a mechanism for that. Governance and leadership, another area. Over a period of 15 years, all higher education institutions in India will aim to become independent, self-governing institutions through graded accreditation and graded autonomy. That means in the coming 15 years, all our education institutions, all higher education institutions will become accredited and autonomous. I have mentioned that before also. There shall be a board of governors consisting of a group of highly qualified, competent, and dedicated individuals for each higher education institution. Nowadays, we have the managing board like that. There will be a board of governors consisting of reputed people. All leadership positions and heads of institutions will be offered to persons with high academic qualification and demonstrated administrative and leadership capabilities. This is a major concern in many institutions. Somebody coming from the blue and then he or she becoming the principal or the head. Now, such positions will go to people with high academic qualifications plus demonstrated or exhibited or proven administrative and leadership qualities only for them. And selection shall be led by an eminent expert committee constituted by the board of governors. They will do the selection process. We are coming to the last part. Part 3 is other key areas of focus, just a mention of that. They look into professional education, adult education, lifelong learning, promotion of Indian cultures like art and culture. And then this you must listen carefully. Sanskrit will be one of the options in the three language formula. That is mother tongue, English, and then Sanskrit, both in schools and higher education institutions. And there will be technology integration, technology inclusion. And for that, National Educational Technology Forum will be created. ICT-based education initiatives will be expanded. A dedicated unit for building digital infrastructure, digital content, etc., will be created in the ministry. Now we are depending upon private firms, private companies, multinational companies, but there will be a dedicated unit for all this digital infrastructure, developing digital content, etc. The last part, part 4, making it happen. The Central Advisory Board of Education, CABE, will be strengthened and empowered. It will be strengthened and empowered. MHRD, nowadays we have just Rajiv Gandhi who converted Ministry of Education to MHRD. That will be redesignated as Ministry of Education because they want to bring the focus back on education and learning. Let us see about the financing part of it. Educational investment has to be raised. Saying all these, if all these have to happen, money is needed, money is involved, finance is needed. And so investment in education has to be increased. The current public expenditure on education in India is 4.43% of GDP. And then the total government spending on education is only 10%. But then with this, all these miracles won't happen. Public investment in education sector has to reach 6% of GDP. At present, it is only 4.43%. It must go to 6%. Only then we will be able to put these into practice. And how are we going to implement these policies? Implementation of this policy will be led by various central and state bodies. Both central and state governments will look into that. And the guiding principles will be like this. Number 1, implementation of the spirit and intent of the policy. We may not be able to implement all the suggestions of the policy, but then we will take into account the spirit and the objective of the policy. Implement the policy initiative in a phased manner, not in 1 or 2 years. It is even telling 15 years, 20 years, in a phased manner. Prioritization of policy points, which is the most important one, which should be the urgent one, the important one like that. And comprehensive and holistic implementation of policies that must be looked into. Careful analysis and review of linkage. For example, a lot of investment has been given to in the school education part, it is mentioned, ECCE, and how much amount has to be pumped into that, like that. Subject-wise implementation committees of experts, both at the central and state level for planning and coordination. They will be, these experts will be appointed, and they will look into that. And there shall be yearly joint reviews of the progress of implementation. Yearly review will be there. The entire policy will be in operational mode by the decade 2030, 2040. By 2040, the whole policy will be in operational mode. Following which, another comprehensive review will be undertaken. That will be in 2040. We will review the policy. That is, in short, the policy. So this is my presentation of policy. Now we will pass on to the last part of it. What are my concerns? The policy is accepted by the Union Cabinet without any discussion in the Parliament. So this is a policy which will last for 30 years or 40 years. This is a policy that is going to affect generations, at least minimum 2 generations. But then no discussion has taken place regarding this in the Parliament. And what is happening to our Parliament with regard to discussion? Let us see at statistics. The importance of dialogue and discussion is watered down. Even the latest agricultural bill, it has happened. The 15th Lok Sabha, 71% of the bills have been examined by committees. 71%. In the 16th Lok Sabha, the first Modi government, it has come down to 26%. From 71, it has come down to 26%. In the first meeting of the 17th Lok Sabha, 16 bills were passed without the scrutiny of standing committee or select committee. And let us see what is the predicament. Ramachandra Guha, the modern historian, he has commented like this: we have a democracy, but then our democracy is a type where there are only elections, no discussion, no dialogue. Second concern is that education comes in the concurrent list. You know about the union list, you know about the state list, and we have the concurrent list. Division of powers is like that. And education comes under the concurrent list. The system of governance, administration, and management of education institutions in states now are going to be decided by the center. This is against our federal structure. Since education is in the concurrent list, state must have a say in all this. And when it is not looked into, this is against our federal structure. And states have deteriorated to the level of operators. The center will decide and order, the states will have to obey. So we are becoming obedient children. Undue importance given to multidisciplinary education may water down serious subject-based studies. I told you about this right from the beginning. They have been concentrating on multidisciplinary education. My concern is that when undue importance is given to multidisciplinary education, that will affect seriously a serious study of subjects as well as other subjects. The entry and exit options suggest for multidisciplinary courses will reduce the seriousness of study and dropout rates may increase. You know, 1 year, the first year, after the conclusion of first year, they can go out. Second year, they can go out. Third year, they can go out, or maybe they can continue. And that might reduce the seriousness of study. And this may lead to dropout rate. The presence of international universities is very attractive, but then it will be a threat to national institutions, and education in such institutions will be costly, and our people won't be able to afford that kind of a cost. The internationalization of higher education will jeopardize the principles of equity, inclusion, affordability, and access. Maybe we can give this direction to India's or education institutions in India, the principles of equity, inclusion, affordability, and access. How much it will be applicable to international universities operating in India? NRF, National Research Fund. Government-funded research is good, but it shall not deteriorate the government-guided research. Providing fund is good, but then government must not stipulate that you must do your research accordingly, or maybe in such subjects like that. It must not deteriorate to government-guided research. There are too many institutions. I've told you the verticals and too many institutions that might lead for institutionalization. Too many institutions for control of regulation may lead to institutionalization. These institutions will have a number of boards, and naturally it will be filled by the supporters of the ruling party, and then it has to function accordingly. Financing has to be done responsibility. If not, the structures won't work. GDP, it should be made, it should be taken to increase to 6%. Otherwise, nothing will work. If there is no money, the structure won't work. There must be more money invested in education sector. The suggestion to promote private philanthropic efforts for quality education may lead to corporatization. They may come. All these corporates, all the corporates in India, I don't want to mention them, they will come into education field. They can come. Now it's open. They'll say theirs is a private philanthropic effort. They need to change only, they need to enter this kind of a sentence in their trust deed that we are a private philanthropic trust. So they might come to education, and this can lead to corporatization, which will make education very expensive. So what will be the fate of minority-run institutions, minority rights? Nothing has been mentioned about them. Minorities are running a number of important super institutions in the country, great institutions in the country, and they have done yeoman service to this field. But nothing has been mentioned about minority and minority rights. As part of curricular integration of essential subjects, constitutional values have been listed. I given you the list. But then the most important feature of our constitution, secularism, is missing. The most important part of our constitution is secularism, but then I don't know, somehow secularism cannot find any mention in this policy. Then coming to English, what is the importance given to English? The aim to educate Indians to become a citizen of a developed country and one of the three largest economies in the world. That is the aim of this policy. But then we are not attaching great importance to English and giving more and more importance to some other subjects or local languages. What will happen to our children? Then all students shall learn Sanskrit will lead to Sanskritization. That is my doubt. That's all from my side. Thank you. So now my presentation is over. It's up to you.
Thank you, sir. So it was a presentation with clarity, with in-depth subject knowledge. So everything has been presented. So now it's time for discussion. So we have a few questions. We will take up those questions. And if you have any doubts, any suggestions, you can either post it in the chat box or you can unmute and then ask. So, Sir, Lakshmi Pidambaran asked, Sir, how is this scrapping of MPhil program beneficial? So I repeat, Lakshmi Pidambaran asked, Sir, how is this scrapping of MPhil program beneficial?
Yeah. And then I think the policy framers have to answer that. I cannot give an answer to that kind of a question. They think that it is of no use. MPhil is of no use. Because here the thrust is mainly on research. And they are starting or giving importance on research from the UG level itself. So they are, because of that reason, they might be thinking that MPhil is of no use. That is why they are advising to scrap. Okay, that may be the reason. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Next question. Haripatmam PC asked, Sir, please explain how technical courses and professional courses are affected.
Yeah.
Sir,
there will be agencies for technical courses as well as professional courses. There will be agencies for that. They will look into those areas. But here, the main concern is about higher education institutions dealing with subjects other than medical education, engineering education, like that. It's only that. There will be agencies for that.
Okay, sir. Mehna Fabias asked, Sir, how will the corona situation affect the education sector in the future?
Naturally, within no time. I remember I told you that I am in a school at present. So once when I saw some mistakes in the question paper, I told my teachers, do one thing, you send your question papers as email. My God, there was lot of noise around, lot of problems, lot of concerns. And teachers were not willing to send their question paper as email. Many were not knowing that. But I said, no, you have to send the question paper on email. The same teachers are using now Microsoft Teams and then Google platform, and they're going to Tata ClassEdge platform, and they're teaching. Within no time, a shift has taken place because the situation demanded that. In that sense, the situation will be demanding more. We are conducting online examinations. We are conducting online supervision programs like that. And so maybe online system will remain. I'm not saying that it will supersede the class system, but it will remain. For example, maybe even universities will think of that. Suppose in a three-year course or four-year course, whatever it is. Normally, if it's a three-year program, they'll have 6 semesters. If it's a four-year program, they'll have 8 semesters. Maybe a university will think like this. One semester can be an online in the online mode. They might think of that, and maybe such changes will come in the future.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Winnie Maria Vincent asks, sir, can you elaborate on the academic bank of credit?
Yeah, academic bank of credit. For example, imagine that you have done a UG program in Little Flower College, and for doing a UG program, a four-year UG program, because that is what the policy is telling. Imagine that you have done the four-year degree program, and a four-year degree program, you will get, for example, you will get 10 credits. That will be stored in your credit account. And you are going to some other college, or maybe in between you are going to, you imagine that you are done only 2 years here, and for the rest 2 years you are going to some other college, and you have gained 4 credits. And when you go and start joining another college, these 4 credits will be transferred to your account, and there you gain 4 credits more. So 4 plus 4, your credit will be 8. In that sense, it will be credited to your account in the bank in that way. Or if you go out, maybe you are going abroad, these credits can be transferred to the institutions there. There will be people will trust it because it is more systematic.
Okay, thank you, sir. Madhavi Ramaswamy asks, sir, the NEP's emphasis on Sanskrit and downplaying on English will create problems for Indians wanting to study abroad or students coming to India for studies. So
Yeah,
I think
definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I have answered that. But still, I think that maybe as a fun course, doing a fun course in Sanskrit is good. I welcome that because it is our classical language, the classical language. They got a lot of classics from that language. We know the importance of Sanskrit. Doing a fun course in Sanskrit is okay. But making it compulsory that all UG students and PG students should learn Sanskrit, that will create problems, especially as she rightly pointed out, when students coming to India, and suppose we are forcing that they must study Sanskrit, I don't think that they'll come to India. But then doing a course is something different. Maybe suppose you study Sanskrit for 1 month and you will get 2 credits. Okay, fine, I can do that. Maybe an online program in Sanskrit, fine, I can do that. I'll get 3 credits. That will go into my account. In that way, it's welcoming. But suppose we are diluting the importance of English, that will have long-term effects.
Okay, thank you, sir. So that's all about the questions that we got in the chat box. And if you have any more questions to ask, you are free to unmute and ask. If our participants, if you want to ask any more questions, you are free to unmute and ask questions.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Sir, somehow, after going through the entire education policy presentation by you, in some areas, a lot of work has been done, I feel, with regard to multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, all that is very welcome. But in certain areas, I think they have not really put their minds into it, keeping our Indian setup, educational setup, the kind of students we have, the rural students, the urban students, suburban students, how it is going to help. Somehow I am having my own doubts, sir. When it is actually going to be implemented, probably we'll be coming across a lot of other issues. And as and when these issues come, they should have something, as a remedy to see that, this program goes forward successfully without unnecessary hiccups and obstacles, sir. This is my feeling.
Okay, what you said is absolutely right. Some of the suggestions put forth by this committee are very radical, very, very radical. And I think they have simply followed the Western format here.
Yes.
How far this will be applicable to a country like India, where the heart of India is in villages, and how far it will be suitable to our children, that we need to wait and see. But then there will be mechanisms. This is only policies and suggestions. Don't think that everything will be like this. These are only guiding principles. Only guiding principles. So there will be mechanisms. When the program of action is being formulated by the government, there might be agencies for that, looking into that.
Sir, one more question, sir,
Yeah,
about
please.
corporatization of education.
Yeah.
Already we are seeing so many educational institutions run
Yeah.
by people like a business, and
Yeah.
they are without much values or without social respect. That nobody takes mentoring seriously.
Yeah.
Either the teachers have absolutely no idea about how to handle teenagers. I have
Yeah.
done my course in NIMANS on student counseling, adolescent counseling. So I
Very good.
could relate to the students much better. How they
Yeah.
treat their children at home and how they treat the children in the college is very different, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
Why they cannot be empathetic and sympathetic towards these students?
Very good. Yeah.
And then if they don't have that quality, how can they mentor, sir? It is taken
Yeah.
only as a procedure.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
Prepare a
Correct.
record and keep it ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Correct.
Teachers should be given training, sir. Really in-depth training on, first of all, understanding the adolescents whom they are handling,
Yeah. Correct. Correct.
their
Correct.
issues that they have,
Yeah.
and then do the mentoring, sir.
Yeah, correct. I fully agree with both your ideas. One is regarding corporatization. I don't want to mention the name of an institution, but then maybe from situations you will come to understand which institute is that. There is a college in a place in Tamil Nadu, a very old college, and that has been doing wonderfully well, wonderfully well. And that's a place known for a high-rated, what do you say, a mission hospital too. But then a new education came up there. And now all other institutions, this 100-year-old institution, including that, is under the very shadow of the other institution. That is run by corporates. You will be able to guess. I don't want to tell you which one it is that. They have got all facilities. They got money. They are pumping money and they are making money. And they are branching out to other states. They're going to other states and running. They're replicating that. It's possible. So if there is no quality assured in our educational institutions that we are running now, these corporates will be a great threat for us. Great threat for us. We need to improve our infrastructure. We need to improve the quality of our education, the delivery part and then the receiving part. There shall be quality in that. That is the only thing that we can do. Secondly, coming to mentoring, what you said is absolutely right. Absolutely right. We are not giving any training to our teachers for mentoring. Only thing is that we all say, I was also a principal, so I used to say, okay, we should have mentoring. Is mentoring different from counseling? Or counseling different from mentoring? Is mentoring is advising? Is mentoring is complaining to parents? Or is mentoring listening to parents? Is mentoring talking to students? Only God in heaven knows what it is. So when this was the predicament, I along with, or they may come to our institutions, I don't know. So that's a welcoming step. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your queries. Thank you for your comments, your suggestions. So we have pasted the link for feedback form in the chat box, so you can fill up. And meanwhile, it's time to wind up the session and to officially deliver the vote of thanks. I invite Ms. Anju S. Matam, member IQSC. Welcome.
Just a minute for that. Can you give me 1 minute?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay. I must very specially thank the organizers for organizing this in a very systematic manner. And the questions that you people raised, it was very significant, very, very significant. I have done a lot of seminars related to NEP, but their questions are coming only for the sake of questions. But the questions here were very pithy, very meaningful, and then very apt. So I congratulate them. And from my side, I must thank my PRO, Sujo Francis. He's my PRO in the school. He has given me all the help, all the technical help, and other logistical help in organizing this kind of a program. I thank my friend Sujo for being with me. Even now, he's sitting next to me and controlling things for me. I remember him with gratitude. Once again, I congratulate Shilpa for all the pains that she has taken. That's all from my side. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Anju ma'am, please.
Respected Principal, Reverend Sister Dr. Jisma Teres, Resource Person Dr. Rubil Raj, former Principal Marian College, Uttikanam, and Manager Good Shepherd Public School and Junior College, Changnasheri. Faculty members, research scholars, and students from various institutions, and my dear colleagues. Good evening to one and all present here. Let me first of all start by giving glory to Almighty God for making today's webinar resounding success. I may like to express our sincere thanks to Dr. Rubil Raj for giving an excellent coverage to National Education Policy 2020, implications, opportunities, and challenges for the higher education sector. We are all inspired by your great words. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful and fruitful session. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to our dear principal, Reverend Sister Dr. Jisma Teres, for the support and guidance she has extended to make this webinar grand success. I also extend my thanks to all participants for their enormous cooperation of this event. I am happy to express vote of thanks to Bush and Window for the technical support. Once again, thanking you all.
Thank you, Anju. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rupil, sir, for that beautiful presentation. And I thank all the participants also for this, for your patience and participation. Thank you so much. Now I think we'll disperse the meeting. Thank you, everyone.